made a pretty big jump to the Los Angeles market.
Yeah, back then, there was no internet. I mean, there was barely color television. When a station needed someone, in this case, NBC in Los Angeles needed a weather person, they would send headhunters, and they would go into hotels in various markets and sit there and watch the local stations. Happily, they liked my stuff, and they brought me out to LA, and I was the local weather guy out here for another 5 years.
Well, some advice that you've given me before, and I've heard you give others, is no matter what you're doing, you never know who's watching, what opportunities are going to be there, and that's proof of it right there.
You can never phone it in. I didn't know. There's a guy sitting in a hotel flipping channels, and if I had just kind of gone through the motions that night, I might still be there.
Well, speaking of being noticed, you're working in Los Angeles, and one day you get a call from creator of Wheel of Fortune, Merv Griffin. So you just pick up the phone and, hi, it's Merv?
Quite literally. And he was another idol of mine. I loved, he did talk shows and game shows. When you work in LA in local TV, in a way you're auditioning every night because the producers are sitting at home watching TV in their underwear like everybody else. So I just thinking of Merv in his underwear. I don't know what happened to me there. Anyway, Wheel of Fortune been on the air for 7 years in daytime on NBC, and the host was leaving and they needed a new host, and he asked if I was interested. He said, come on in, we'll talk, maybe you'll do a little tape or something, see if you like us and we like you. And I said, sure, and I swear the first thought was, there's nothing for me to do. I mean, yes sir, 3 hours is not exactly a career mover.
Well.
Yeah, I know, she's what I know. Anyway, I went in, I did the tape, and he liked me, and he asked me to do it. But here was my thinking, and show you how smart your father is. The show had been on 7 years, as I said, and it seemed to have almost run its course. It was finishing third in its time period behind Price is Right on CBS and Love Boat reruns on ABC. So I figure I'll do this show for a year or two, I'll establish a little national credibility and move on to something else. But it kind of got a second wind, and within a year we were winning our time period, and a year later we started the nighttime show, which went through the roof, and 41 years later, here I am. So it's an odd road.
Well, when you first got started, an important piece of the puzzle wasn't there yet.
I see
what I did there?
Yeah.
Vanna wasn't at the puzzle board yet.
When I took over the show, a woman named Susan Stafford stayed, and she did the show for about a year, and then she wanted to leave. I don't think she could take working with me. But anyway, Merv had a little talent search for someone to fill in, and we ended up doing a tape with like 3 young women, and one of them was Vanna. And I remember after her audition, she's really sweet and seems like a very nice person, but she was so nervous. I mean, her lips were trembling and she was perspiring. I thought, he's never going to hire her. Merv is smarter than I am. And he saw something in her and knew that the nerves would go away. And they did, and she's been a joy. And, I shudder to think how life could have been different. I mean, she's been great. She's just a sweetheart and has made my life fabulous.
And your chemistry comes through the screen. Was it always that way, or has that sort of grown as your friendship has grown?
Well, a little bit of both. I mean, I think we were pretty comfortable in the beginning. It's funny, we do 15, 20 seconds at the end of the show, but multiply that by 40 years and people can sense the genuine affection and get all the jokes and understand the backstory. It adds up to a lot of minutes of television.
So over the years, the consistency is really important to people, but there have been a lot of changes.
The biggest change in my tenure here has been the dropping of shopping. You used to not win money, you would win fake money with which you could buy cheesy prizes. And there's a lot of nostalgia about that. People, oh, bring back the shopping. I'm telling you, there is nothing exciting about a circle in the middle of the screen with the head of a woman from Teaneck, New Jersey, and she's going, I'll have the end table for 2. No, wait a minute, I like the lamp.
I'll always have a soft spot for the ceramic Dalmatian. That's our forever family dog.
That's right. We have 2 Dalmatians
Yes.
at home, and they're very well behaved. Yeah.
Usually.
Yeah. Sometimes it's a little ceramic doo-doo on the rug, but that's about it.
So I don't know if everyone knows this, but you've actually contributed some of the gameplay changes.
A little bit. A few years ago, we were bemoaning the fact that there wasn't enough content in the show. Jeopardy, for example, has 60 questions during the course of a half hour. We were having 5 puzzles, and our puzzles take a while to solve. How do we get more content and not take up a lot of time? And so I did come up with the toss-up puzzles, and they've worked real well. And then our producer added the triple toss-up. And then I added the idea of $10,000 if you get all 3, because it's not my money, what do I care?
It's a nice bonus for people.
I know, thank you.
Now the $1 million question, I know it's impossible to answer. What is the secret to Wheel's longevity?
Yeah, I get that a lot. And, if I knew, I'd be out creating other shows with the same secret, and I'd be a wealthy man. Oh, I am. But that's a joke. I'm not quite sure. I do know that somewhere along the line, we became more than a popular show. We became part of the popular culture. And you're with us a lot, and people come up to us almost every day, sometimes in tears, saying, I used to watch the show with my grandmother, now I'm watching it with my kids, or my kids learned the alphabet from your show, or my mom came from the Philippines and learned to speak English. We didn't intend any of that, and yet we've become this sort of cohesive bond between people and generations and families and friends. That's been awfully gratifying.
What I love about it is it's a family show in that way. People can watch with their families, and it really is a family show on the set as well. I mean, people that have worked here nearly as long as you have.
That's the one thing that's going to be tough in leaving, because I look around and I see these faces that I've seen 5 years, 10 years, 20, 30 years and more, and you know, I'm not going to be seeing them as regularly, although you'll be seeing them because you're staying.
Yeah.
I'm leaving and you're
I'll
staying.
be
How did
seeing
that happen?
The fun never stops at Wheel.
Subscribe here to watch more Spincredible videos.